Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you to a presentation that our group prepared for today's lecture. It will be about the pros and cons of the International Division of Labor with a focus on factory workers of company Apple in China and the USA. You have already been divided into 3 groups. Each group will see the same presentation that will take approximately 10 minutes. Then, with help from our moderators, you are going to discuss questions that we will ask you at the end of our presentation. After the small group discussion, we will join the main channel to continue the discussion from the point of view of the group we were part of. As you can see, our presentation is divided into 4 parts. I will tell you a quick definition of the International Division of Labor. After that, Marina and Eric will tell you more about the pros and cons of the International Division of Labor. Then, Vojta will compare the situation in China and the USA. And in the last part, Vlada and Nastya will show you some numbers and tell you more about working conditions in company Foxconn. In economics, the new International Division of Labor is an outcome of globalization. Thanks to the International Division of Labor, the production is divided and transferred to different parts of the world. Nowadays, it leads to a higher level of production and self-efficiency. And now, Marina is going to tell you more about the pros.
Now I'm going to be talking about advantages of using the International Division of Labor. In our presentation, we are going to be talking about Apple manufacturers in China. The first reason is cost advantage. The labor in China is relatively cheap and efficient. For example, because of the competitiveness on China's labor market, and because of the fact that China's people are willing to work for less since cost of living is much lower than, for example, in the US. China is 34.1% cheaper than United States. The second reason is efficiency gain. Chinese workers are very productive since each person has a specific task which can be mastered. Moreover, Apple's worker in China make less than $17 a day, whereas USA workers are paid at least $11 per hour. The third reason is increased productivity due to innovations. Chinese government invests more money into innovation to attract transnational corporations and to use it as a driver of its economic growth. And last but not least are the benefits for the receiving country. For example, creating new jobs positions. For instance, Apple supports more than 5 million jobs in China. Moreover, there are new technologies and knowledge. So Apple and 10 initial suppliers invested money, nearly $300 million, to the China Clean Energy Fund to support renewable clean energy projects. And now Eric is going to be talking about disadvantages of International Division of Labor.
Now, I will tell you something about disadvantages of International Division of Labor. The problem typically is that the gains to productivity do not always get redistributed in the home country. The home country can only tax the production that takes place domestically. The risk is that if the home country increases the tax rate too high, the corporation will move more of its productive process abroad. This is why the home country loses some political sovereignty. The home population has incentives against raising taxes in order to keep production there. You can also think of it as a cost to domestic labor, so they lose bargaining power. With time, this becomes a problem for the receiving country. Initially, everything is good, but after some years, their workers will start demanding higher wages and more protection, which then makes them more costly for the corporation, which can move production to a cheaper country. So, in sum, the cost is to domestic labor that they lose bargaining power. The home country loses some power to impose taxes as it wants, which means they might also miss out on important public spending programs like updating old infrastructure. And now, floor is yours, Wojciech.
So we would like to compare workers' conditions of Apple on manufacturers in China and the US. We choose Apple because it is one of the biggest and most well-known tech companies in the world. Also, It's one of the biggest producers in China, or better to say, a buyer of Chinese goods or parts for Apple products. Moreover, there is a lot of controversial information about workers' conditions in China. In Apple factories in China, we can see problems with work rights, contamination, and safety in a workplace, characterized by insufficient protective equipment. While in China we see rough conditions, the situation in the United States is different. The US employees enjoy rewards, retirement contributions, health insurance, holiday, and, for example, employee stock purchase plan. Starting pay for the Apple workers in Chinese manufactories is only $3.15 per hour. In the United States, the salary for an assembler is $14.91 per hour. It is advantageous for Apple to manufacture in China because provides a low-cost workforce and skill as well. And now Vlada will tell you more specific information about average hourly pay in detail.
Now I would like to briefly talk about the average hourly wages in Apple in the USA and Foxconn in China. As you can see, average Apple hourly pay ranges from approximately $11 per hour for assembly technician to $60 per hour for machine learning engineer. Foxconn assembly line workers make as much as $400 a month based on location and passing a probationary period. And that's for 160 working hours a month. So the hourly pay is about $2.50. This shows a huge difference between the two companies. And now I give the floor to Anastasia.
Now I'm going to tell you some facts about one of the most infamous manufacturers in China. Foxconn is a Taiwanese corporation. This corporation manufactures electronics and it has about 1.2 million employees in China. It's important to mention that this corporation provides the workforce for Apple, around 500,000 employees in Chinese cities Shenzhen and Chengdu. It's one of the major Apple suppliers in China. In Chinese factories of Foxconn were registered many cases of working rights violations. The employees are kept in inhuman conditions, they live in crowded rooms without any privacy, they only sleep there and have limited free time possibilities. The working hours are too long and it's known that periodically the management of the factory does not want to provide its employees with the money they earn working overtime. This manufacturer is also sadly known for its cases regarding suicides and unrest connected to non-payment of wages. Moreover, the dormitories are operated by army forces, and another problem is that employees work with harmful substances that they do not know about. So, for example, when an employer got affected by that, it's hard for them to prove the guilt of the factory, to request the compensation. And now Vlada will follow with questions we prepared for you.
Here on this slide we have prepared questions for our debates. Firstly, do you think that when you buy iPhone you help the corporate to gain more money or Chinese people to earn for a living? Are the gains from International Division of Labor worth weakening workers' rights? What can workers do to improve their working conditions? What threats do face Chinese workers in the 21st century? And finally, try to think of reasons why tariffs or taxes could be lower or higher in developing countries.